Hi Shannon, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much for coming to do this interview.
Yeah.
So this is Conversation with Dee, and I do this with people so that we can share inspirational stories about people, and I really believe that you're inspirational. I've known you for a few years, and I think you've got a lot of things that you get yourself involved in and create a big change around you. So maybe first off, just tell me who you are, what you represent, and maybe what makes you tick.
Shannon Miller. I was brought up in country Victoria, moved to Darwin when I was about 13, and always involved in a lot of sports, so playing predominantly netball, used to swim as well, then got, really, I guess, competitive at netball and went up the ranks and played state and moved to Queensland for about 5 years and played state league down there, and moved back, and that's when I sort of started playing football and always sort of been involved in coaching, and I think that was through my mum. And now I just sort of, I guess, really highly involved in the coaching side because I've sort of retired from playing. Like all sports, still keep active, but and that's just, I guess, become a bit of a passion outside of, the daily working hours. And I just love to see young people, and that, I guess, that's what makes, me tick and makes me keep coming back every day to continue coaching. Is I love to see young people achieve their sort of goals, or even on and off the field or the netball court, just seeing them grow as people, and me maybe having a little bit of something to do with that. So I think that's a really cool thing to see people achieve.
And when I first met you, you were coaching under 14s, was it?
Under 18s. So that was my first actual coaching role for football, was under 18s. So I've been coaching netball for many years, player coach, coaching juniors right through to Premier League players, so senior players, and played footy for 10 seasons and stopped playing, and they didn't have an under 18s coach at Waratahs, so which is a local football club here in Darwin, and the girls are like, well, you should coach footy. And I'm like, I've never coached football before. I'm like, oh, it's like netball, you'll be fine. You've coached netball, it's all and I'm like, okay, a little bit different, but all right, I'll give it a go, because they didn't have anyone. And there was a lot of YouTubing and Googling to make sure I knew how to kick a footy, but how to actually teach that to somebody correctly, because I didn't want to teach the players the incorrect techniques for anything. So it was a lot of Googling on how to tackle properly, and a lot of self-taught stuff. But that was my first sort of football coaching role, was under 18s.
So that was the girls, under 18 girls. But I understand you've got quite a few different areas where you're coaching now. So it's not just, it's senior women's, I think? Yeah,
so I'm coaching at AFL Tigers now, the senior Premier League women. I'm the assistant coach for the men's Premier League. And currently under 19s and Teeth under boys, one of the assistant coaches there as well. So, and at the moment I'm actually in the middle of doing my level 3 for AFL coaching. So, which is quite a big accreditation. It's like a 12-month course. So so that's a lot of learning. A lot of learning, a lot of sort of growth in those areas. But always just. I'm almost like a sponge, because I know I've got a lot to learn, and I'm not there yet, and I don't think I'll ever will be, but it's good.
So along with that, you've also got other things that keep you busy. I mean, you used to be part of the Nightcliff Festival, I forget what it's called.
Seabreeze Festival.
Seabreeze Festival, and walking dogs. Do a dog walking business. So I work full time just at the university, CDU, just in student engagement. So, which is, I guess I do the fun side of university. All the activities and all that sort of fun things when you go to university. Outside of your academic learning. So that's a lot of fun, and that's probably that's my main income. And then I started up a dog walking business a couple of years ago when I was made redundant from my old job. And
I didn't have anything, and I was just like, didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was kind of in that limbo after being in the same job for like, I think it was 12 years.
Yeah.
And then, a new company came in and got made redundant. So I just started up the dog walking business. So now I do that sort of part-time or outside of early mornings. Basically, I'm up at 4:30 most mornings.
Wow.
To dog walk.
I was wondering when you were going to fit all of this in.
And then worked a little while for 2 years with the Seabreeze Festival, which is a community festival here in Darwin. So, and that was a lot of fun. Big learning for me with that. Being involved in like a community festival like that. But a lot of fun. Yeah.
So, for many people listening, they're going to be like, wow, you are a go-getter. So it would seem to me like growth is a big value for you, for yourself.
Yeah.
So growing and changing and creating new avenues, and obviously never just sit, you're made redundant, you're not just going to sit around. You find something to do, which I think is amazing life skills to pass on to anybody. But when you've got sponges, young people who are a sponge in your environment, I think it's great. And as a parent of a child who's been with you, I know my daughter thrived and strived, and that's not to say you were easy. You have a code of ethics that you obviously follow. But when you're working with young people, what do you think would be the biggest thing that makes it that you have rapport and you have their trust and you have their belief in you? What do you think you've got there?
I'm not sure. I think I just like to, I think it's just showing that I care. And I do. And I, whenever I'm with somebody, like it's, in that moment I'm with you and you've got 100% of my attention. So, and I'm always, I try not to be judgmental either. So if someone comes to me about anything, and for me it may not be something that I like, but I try not to be judgmental and just try and build that, like, people's trust that way. And I think it works. Like, I've got a lot of good relationships with a lot of the people I've coached, past and present. And that's really cool to have. But and I'm always just, I guess, a sounding board as well, like just to listen, and it's not always about giving advice for anything. But I also, like you said, have those boundaries where I'm just like, especially on the coaching footy field or the netball court, like, no, we're here to train and we're here to do, and if you're not going to do that, you can leave. Like, I won't tolerate sort of, laziness or any of that. Like, and everyone knows that, so it's just having those, I guess, boundaries in place as well when you coach. But I think a lot of it is just listening, caring, and just not being judgmental, because I think a lot of young people these days get a lot of judgment from a lot of areas. Like,
it's big. It's social media is one of the biggest
huge
things.
So, and it's just to be that person, I guess, where people know that you're not, whatever they throw at you, you're not going to come back at them and judge them or use that against them. So I try to be that kind of person. So, it doesn't always work, but I try.
Well, everybody's different.
Not everyone's perfect, but so that's, I think, what I do.
Well, you certainly, from my point of view, looking, and even as a parent, you're always there to answer questions if I have any questions. So you're always available. But the teams have always done really well under you, so you've got like a bit of a magic wand.
Don't know if it's a magic wand, but the teams I've been involved with, we've done well, or there's always been that improvement. And I don't think it's about, reaching, the grand final or anything like that. It's those small wins. And it's just those little improvements that we make, and if we keep building on those, one day we may make a grand final or win a premiership or whatever it might be. But I think it's just focusing on those small wins and just keep progressing and making sure everyone's along the journey with you. It's not my journey. This is, when I coach, it's us and it's our journey, and we're going to go from here to here, but we're going to do it all together. So
fantastic. Well, it shows in the proofs in the pudding, so to speak. So then, you keeping yourself fit and healthy, do you have daily routines that you get involved with, or rituals that you do
regardless, like getting up at 4:30?
Yeah, so the 4:30 is to walk dogs in the morning before I start work, and then obviously most evenings it's training. So at the moment it's NT Thunder football training, and I'm also coaching netball at the moment as well. So I do tend to take on a lot. I'm one of those people that I can't say no, like it's really hard for me to say no. Trying to get better at that, but we all have those little things. But yeah, something that I do before every game that I coach, regardless of the sport, is I take my dogs for a walk. So that for me is just, I guess, I don't really meditate, I don't really do yoga or anything like that, but that walking the dogs is, I guess, my meditation. It's my time to just have that, half an hour, depending on how long the walk is, just to clear my head or think of different things, whatever it is. But I guess that's my meditation, is walking.
Well, some would argue that is exactly what meditation is. So it's just in a different format. So that gets you. Are there any other rituals that you are not negotiable in your life that you would do on a daily basis?
That's probably the main one. With that is just walking the dogs. But I don't really have I wear the same socks every time I coach, things like that. But there's no real daily ritual that I do. I think it's just
well, for your own fitness, let's just say.
For my own fitness, I try and go for a run. So I try and do that every couple of days. Knees and ankles aren't what they used to be, so
tell me about it.
It's something, but I guess that daily walking is something I always do. And I try and, when I can, try and get to the gym, and I do sort of your cycle classes, those sort of, or functional classes. So I try and do those as well from a sort of my personal fitness. But I guess that's an area as well that I need to get better at and give myself more time for me, because I do tend to do a lot of things for a lot of other people. So I have to keep reminding myself that, all right, I need to do my time, whatever that
and
is.
I think that's really important. Everybody needs to do that, but finding that balance. But that was one of the things that I was going to bring up. Most people who will come to me as a personal trainer, particularly women, say they are tired, they're too busy, and they've got no energy. And then there's you sitting here beside me who is working full-time, gets up at 4:30 to walk dogs, coaching 3 or 4 teams, finding time to do your own fitness. So what pushes you through? You must get tired.
Oh, definitely.
What do you think that is the difference, that makes the difference, that you continue to do the things that you do?
I think it was just how I was brought up. My mum was very much a go-getter. Like, she was always involved in, committees for netball and, just at the school and local community committees. And she, didn't finish Year 12, but she went back to school to get her Year 12 accreditation. She then went to university, so just to see her do that and be brought up to be that kind of person, I think, that's where it comes back to. And my dad's very much the same as well. He's, started a building business and from nothing. So, I've seen both them come from nothing and see them grow. And I think that's where it's come from ultimately.
So it's in your DNA.
But
it's also life experience.
And you just, life's too short, I guess, to sit around and do nothing. I lost my mum when I was 28. She passed away from breast cancer. Originally breast cancer, but it was various cancers over the years. So just to see her and her struggles, life's too short just to sit around and mope. So we all have our bad days, don't get me wrong. I'm the most emotional person you'll probably ever meet. I'll cry at a drop of a hat, but you just have to, there's always that positive side, I think. We can all have those down days, but just to flip it and just think, okay, well, there is a positive out of this situation, or there is a positive in my life today. It might be just one thing, it might be just my dogs, for example. Nothing else is going right, but every time I walk outside, they're wagging their tails and happy to see me. So that's my positive for today, and I'll just take that and I'll hold on to that to get through today if it's one of those really tough days. So,
and they say gratitude changes the chemistry in your brain, so you've got to look for at least one thing every day. So they're brilliant skills to have to help anybody, and then people around you will see that, because you, even without words, we're a role model anyway for what we say, think and do.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. Yeah. And then if you wanted to share some words of wisdom with anybody listening, what sort of feedback? I mean, I think you've shared a lot of wisdom, but if you had a final thing that you wanted to say or add about yourself or your life or life in general, is there anything that you could add?
I just think, like I said, it's just those little things, and just being grateful for every little thing and just giving back. Sometimes it might be like helping out my sister or helping out a family or friend, or just, and for me that's coaching. If I give back, that brings me joy as well. So sometimes it's about, being grateful for those little things, but also just giving back.
Contribution.
Yes, because if you can give back to someone and see, you bring a smile to their face, that will do a lot for you in here as well. So just grateful for those little things and give back every now and then, because you'll feel good for it. So
it's fantastic. It's a core need to be contributing, and a lot of people feel unfulfilled, but they don't know exactly how to contribute, and sometimes it might just be a hug or a smile or
just saying hello, or or just rocking up to work with a coffee for your workmate. Like, those little things I think can change everything. So sometimes we don't know what people's struggles are, and we don't know what's happening behind their closed doors. So those little things to somebody else could just change their whole world.
Absolutely. And love, and being vulnerable, I think they're the most powerful tools that we have. And the world would be a better place if there was more of it. I believe.
And being vulnerable is really hard. Really
it's
hard.
Easy.
No, at all. But I found in coaching you have to be, and I still every now and then get my guard up. But then I'm like, okay, I have to open up to my players, or I have to show them this, because that's how you build those connections. And I think having connections with different people, family, friends, whatever, but having those connections help you get through life. The connections I've got with some of my players, is priceless, and they're, young, much younger than me, they're 19, 20, and I'm turning 40 next month. So, but I've got those connections where I'm like, I'll have that for a lifetime, and they can call me in 15 years time and it'll be like nothing's changed, and I'll be there to help them out and they'll be there to help me out. So connections is a big one. If you can find connections, and that's just opening up, being vulnerable as well.
I'm not sure if it's the same for you, but I think it's what I'm hearing. But when I coach someone or personal train someone, I'm always learning something, and I'm always feeling the benefits and the rewards of being in that situation of contributing, caring, being vulnerable, and watching their growth. So I think having the accessible groups that you are involved with, would you say that you grow each time someone else is growing?
Oh, absolutely. And I think if you ever sit there and go, I've got nothing else to learn and nothing else to grow and develop with, you're always learning.
You're missing out.
Yeah, you're missing out massively.
I agree.
And if you can sit there and say that, you're the poorer for it.
I agree.
If that makes sense. So I think if you can always see that growth opportunity, or you're always willing to learn, and you open yourself up to that, you will be limitless in whatever you do, sport, work, art, whatever your passion is. If you can always find that growth and that learning, and you're open to it and you're willing to, the sky's the limit for whatever you want to achieve. Absolutely.
It's fantastic. Thank you very much. There's so much wisdom there. And
don't know if it's wisdom, but anyway.
It's always great listening. But yeah, thank you very, very much for doing
absolutely.
this. So thank you everybody for watching. Until next time, bye for now.